Ah, shoot. Okay.
Good evening, welcome on in, Diamondbacks fans. Thank you for joining the trio here of Gabe, Brandon, and myself, Brett, as we are here to discuss. I don't know if the end of the D-back season is necessarily the right term, but the series did not go as I imagine a lot of us would hope. The D-backs did drop 2 of 3 to the Los Angeles Angels, and things are looking bleak here. But either way, we appreciate you guys stopping by. If you're on the YouTube live chat, appreciate you seeing you guys in here. Well, if you guys have any questions or anything, we'll try to get to them throughout the show and whatnot. If you guys are listening to us on the audio side of the podcast, we appreciate you guys as well. If you guys haven't already, like or rate us on whatever Apple or Spotify, wherever you're listening to us, whatever stars you want to give us. Make sure you guys, if you're not already following us on Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok, and while you're on Twitter, check out our pinned Discord link if you also aren't in there already, because it was popping off today, especially with the draft going on, which we'll have a little bit more on that later in the show. And then also go on over to azsnakepit.com and check out all the great content over there. They got game day threads, they got article recaps, and we have a little bit of written content from the dispatch crew that our man Josh puts out. That's over there. So again, check out azsnakepit.com. But like I said, we're here to discuss a series loss to the Los Angeles Angels. So we'll just kind of dive in here. Game 1 on Friday night. Again, needed a win there to kind of keep spirits high. Things didn't start off too well. Ryan Nelson gave up 4 in the first inning to the Angels, and things were looking bleak. But the D-backs immediately scored 4 right back to tie things up. Nelly finished with a line of 4 innings, 7 hits, 4 earned runs, 4 walks, 1 strikeout, and 2 home runs on 87 pitches. So it seems like the D-backs are still trying to keep him on somewhat of a pitch count. Grichuk was a bright spot in this game. He went 3 for 4 with 2 bombs and 3 RBIs. So great to see from Randall. He's been a hot bat in the last week or so. Alec and Marte also had multi-hit games in this one, so Alex been swinging a little bit better bat as of late, and then Cattell continuing to do all-star things. The team itself was a little bit lackluster with runners in scoring position. They went 2 for 8 with RISP, and then I believe there was 7 left on base in this game. They did end up dropping this one 5-6. Angels hit a walk-off on them, so they did get walked off in game 1 for a loss. Looked to bounce back in game 2. They had Gallen on the mound, who was looking pretty solid in his last 2 starts. We were wondering if the real Zach Gallen truly stood up, and maybe McCann was the issue, or was the fix to the issue, but unfortunately it was not. He only went 5 innings, 8 hits, 6 earned runs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, and 1 home run. The 1 home run was to the 2010s GOAT and future Hall of Fame Trout, who was 5 home runs away from 400. So, a little bit of early congratulations to Trout. I'm excited to see him get there. Gallen did all that in 88 pitches, 54 of it being strikes. He had 7 whiffs, which was the most in this game, and surprisingly only 5 hard hit balls. I was a little just looking at the numbers and everything. I figured there'd be a few more, so it looked like the Angels were just kind of putting them where men weren't. Gino says, "I'll have my own home run derby. Fuck you, MLB." He went 2 for 3 with 2 bombs, number 30 and 31 on the season. He's now had back-to-back 30 home run seasons. And the 6th time in his career he has had a 30 home run season, so again, congrats to Gino. And the MLB apparently didn't even contact him for the jersey and chose Jazz Chisholm over him, so great job, MLB, putting the right players in the derby. Love it. McCann was solid in this one, had another multi-hit game as a Dimeback, went 2 for 4 with an RBI knock. And then Gambling Saul Frank was continuing to do pretty solid. He's still not allowed has still not allowed an earned run. He went 2 innings, 2 hits, and 2 strikeouts in this one. And the team did battle back a little bit there in the 8th inning. Obviously, they're down 6 I believe 2 at one point. Got all the way back to 6-5. There was a situation in the 8th inning, bases loaded. He pinch hit Grichuk, who has been swinging hot back for Jake McCarthy. Again, I know sample size is a little bit small, but one was definitely a little bit hotter than the other one, but, going for the lefty on righty matchup didn't work out. Jake struck out. D-backs got 2 more runs, but came up a run short from tying it, and then that was all undone immediately as in the bottom half of the 8th inning, Juan Murillo gave up 4. The D-backs lose this one 5-10. Looked a lot uglier than it was, kind of trending there, but, D-backs do lose the series. Wasn't the worst news, because on Saturday there was also the Futures game the D-backs had two prospects in the futures game. Lou James Groover, the number 10 prospect in our system, went 2 for 2 on 2 infield singles, showed off the speed, and he also did come around to score a run. And then Slade Caldwell, our number 2 overall prospect and MLB's 84th overall prospect. He did go 0 for 1 with the strikeout in his only at bat, but he did make a stellar dive to snag a ball off of the turf in center field. So showing off that speed and that defense, great to see from Slade. Then going into today's game, Game 3, D-backs were trying to avoid a sweep, and they did indeed do that. They won this one 5-1. But before the game even started, probably not too a surprise a lot of us, because again, even going into or after the last series, going into this one, we were saying we need a series win if we want to see this team be buyers. Mike Hazen needed this team to play well to, be confident enough to buy at the deadline. But because of those back-to-back losses and just the way the team's been playing the last month and a half, it was confirmed by multiple reporters that the D-backs would indeed be sellers, and they let other teams know that Eugenio Suarez, Josh Naylor, Merrill Kelly, and Zach Gallen would be available. I know the Blue Jays had a little bit of interest in Zach Gallen, looking for frontline starter, which Gallen and frontline starter in the Big 2025 or in the same sentence in the Big 2025 is wild to say. And then the Mariners were reported to have interest in not just Eugenio, but also Naylor as well. Getting in onto the actual game, though, Merrill Kelly did at least, have the best outing out of all of our starting pitchers. He went 5 innings, 1 hit, 1 earned run, 4 walks, which did kind of rack up his pitch count. 6 strikeouts. He got to 98 pitches in 5 innings and had to be taken out there. Season ERA now down to 3.34. Blaze was solid. This one went 2 for 4 with an RBI double. Jose Herrera drove in 2 on a check swing double. They were just picking on that third baseman in that inning. And then the bullpen was pretty solid. Curtis, Ginkel, and Graveman combined for 4 innings, no runs, 2 hits, 2 walks, and 3 strikeouts. So obviously, I know wasn't what we wanted the series to win, to end up as. A series loss is never fun, but taking everything, kind of all in. What stood out to you, gentlemen? Also, anybody in the chat, I'm always curious to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions. What stood out to you guys? The good, the bad. What did you kind of want to talk about here in regards to the series loss to the Angels?
I guess, it's the meme that we posted. Kids, you tried your best and you failed miserably. The lesson is never try. That's just the way this series felt. Like, at least offensively, they really put their best foot forward. Even the pitching to a certain extent, they really tried. And it's just, nothing really seemed to work, and nothing has been working for this team for quite a while now. And it's just really disappointing. I know we're going to get to it later on about our thoughts on, the first half of this season. But this was just, I don't know. Honestly, it was pretty boring. Like, all these games were pretty boring. None of them really stood out or were as exciting to watch. It was just kind of the Mike Trout show for most of this. There were some bright spots here and there, but for the most part, this is kind of just a nothing burger of a series where this team coming into this series, we talked about, they needed to sweep, and I didn't say that, or at least we didn't say that in as an insult to the Angels, like to say, oh, the Angels suck, so this team needs to sweep the same way we did about the Rockies or the White Sox. When we said it, it was more of, if this team wants to be competitive and stay competitive in this wild card race, they need to sweep, because if they don't, then they're going to lose a lot of ground. As of right now, I believe they're 5.5 behind the wild card, if not 5. It's a little bit hard to tell sometimes, just because like some teams play, some teams don't. So, okay, it's 5.5 right now. And again, they split a series with San Diego, and they lost the game in the standings. And so again, we can't keep doing this as a team, and that's why we kind of got news that this team was looking to sell off some pieces. Like, just straight up said, some guys are going to be made available. So I don't know if that was kind of a bluff on Mike Hazen's part or not, but it's frustrating to see something like that come out. Because how are you going to motivate your team when you see news like that drop that, hey, by the way, we're going to sell all these guys after the break, so get ready to go to New York or anywhere else other than Phoenix. But it's just really disheartening to watch this team right now, and being as far back as they are in the standings. They would have to go 45 and 32 or something like that, or 20.
It was like 43 and 22.
Yeah, 43 and 22 or something like that. Just for them to actually be competitive, like that's around 90 wins. So if that's kind of the minimum requirement, 90 wins, I think it'll be closer to 91, 92. But if that's the minimum requirement, then they need to win 45 of their next 65 games. So if that's If you feel that's possible, then I guess go for it. If not, then Mike Hazen has a lot of work to do.
Yes, I kind of just pretty much agree with all that you said there. It was we needed at least a series win, but a sweep would have been the most ideal situation, and we almost got swept, especially to another team that is under 500. We have just not performed well against teams under 500. And then in regards to kind of the needing to whether prove or buyers or sellers, I know Iggy in the chat saying that got to start red hot out of the break and put themselves in position to buy a few relievers. They can get on a 23 run. They have a foundation. They just need to get some pen arms and start clicking in soon. And that is a possibility. I know Brandon even mentioned on our last few shows a couple different times, saying that they could end up pulling a Tigers like last year, where the Tigers were maybe not as far behind as we are, but they were in a similar situation where they did sell off some of their pieces, like getting rid of Jack Flaherty to the Dodgers, but then obviously went on a crazy run in the second half and did make the playoffs. So it's not officially over. But I agree with your point of it's hard to motivate the players when the team's basically saying, hey, you know what, you guys are probably not going to see the same core of guys after the All-Star break, so get ready. But Brandon, kind of same question to you. What did you kind of want to talk about here in regards to the series loss of the Angels? What kind of stood out to you, whether it's the good, the bad, the ugly? What did you have on your mind for the series, my friend?
It's the same damn thing. Starting pitching gets barely through five. And that's, to me, that's the most frustrating part right now, is that you're having your bullpen pitch half the game almost every single time out. Like, yeah, no wonder this team blows leads all the time. And no wonder so many of these bullpen arms are red line. Because you're having to ask them to get 12 outs. Sometimes 15 out, like 13 or 14 outs. Like it's just it's not good. It's like it is frustrating. Like offense has been doing the job most of the year. I know we talked about like the whole thing with runners in scoring position. Like it gets frustrating, but I I feel like it's doing enough if pitching would do their job. Like Nelly on Saturday, just right off the bat, 4 runs. Like just right off the bat, I'm just like, oh my god. And then Gallon just does what he does, where he goes 2 starts, looks so good, and we have a start like this, and it's all because of his fastball command. We've talked about that at nauseum all year. Like it's his lack of fastball command. Like, and I truly think it's him. Like he's very cerebral. Like he's very stubborn. So, and also the fact that Major League Baseball, you didn't even ask Gino. Like the fact that it didn't even cross your mind. Like the home run derby, all it is a marketing. It's just a marketing event. Why would you not want to market Eugenio Suarez? You want to market Jazz Chisholm? Like personally, I think Gino would bring in more fans. Like that man's always smiling when he's on the field. Like how can you not enjoy that? And Gino, being the professional that he is, basically said, it is what it is. Like, it's not going to bother me. I'm still going to go out there and play every day, but it was great to see that his teammates were, like, basically saying, no, they made a mistake. This man, like, we see him in BP. That's what you want in the home run derby. And then just one final thing. Saul Frank looked pretty good in his first outing back. And I'm interested to see how much he's going to use the sinker going forward, because we know how good his curveball is. It's just once teams realize, oh, don't swing at it, does he have something to combat that? And I'm hoping that's the sinker.
Yeah, so it'd be nice to see if Saul Frank could unlock something, because I know we're lacking. Like everybody in the bullpen has basically died at this point. Like I think there's been a few popular or viral tweets going around where the entire starting bullpen or starting opening day bullpen, goodness, is on the IL or is no longer in the bullpen. Like Ryan, he's not in the IL. He's now a starter. So the entire opening day bullpen is no longer even pitching or available to pitch right now. So it'd be nice to, while Saul Frank's not like a flamethrower or whatnot, if he could just be a productive arm out of the bullpen. I'm not asking for an AJ Puck, type closer, but kind of like what we got in 2021 with Joe Mantiply, where he's a reliable lefty, can get some of those tougher lefty outs. That'd be really solid. And I do agree, the sinker would be a big piece going forward. But one of the comments, because you're talking about Gallen having like two good starts, and then a blow up start, is even Charles Elliott in the YouTube comments saying every step forward is met with a step back, if not more. And I even said that in our last show, where it seems like they might win a game or two, but then they'll lose 3 or 4 immediately. They'll win three, but then they'll lose 5. They just can't get on a consistent roll, and this is another one of those series where I think going back to when was our last series win. Because we split with the Giants, we lost to the Royals, we split with the Padres, now we lost to the Angels. I don't think we've had a series win in 5, almost 6 series now, and
The
that's
White
kind of like
Sox?
going. Which one
The White Sox?
was it? The White Sox?
Yes, it was.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. That feels like ages ago. That's how crazy this team's been. Where it ages us like that insanely. Where, you know, it goes back to what Gabe was saying, where this team needed to start sweeping games and at minimum win series, but start sweeping. But the fact that we're either tying series or losing, there's a reason now why they're, I believe, 3 games under 500 still. I know they were 2 going into the series. Yeah. So then now that dropped one more, so now 3 under 500, and understandable why Mike Hazen's got to show me again. Even like Iggy was saying, we can come out of the break and be playing a little bit better, and maybe that will change the tune on things. Maybe Hazen's going to wait a series or two and be like, all right, guys, if you can either win 5 of 6 or sweep both of them, then I'll buy. But if not, then these guys I said are available are going to be shipped out, and hopefully we see the former rather than the latter. I'd rather see this team just have some fire lit under their asses. Maybe the break is what they need, but I don't know. What we've seen over the last month and a half doesn't give me too much confidence. But another comment here from Scott Mack in the comments saying Corbin is regressing. His approach to the plate is inefficient. He is an all-star in my view. He's definitely hasn't been the greatest. I think he's still just getting his timing back and all that. But again, even like we talked about, I think when they announced the All-Star game or All-Stars game players, that it was probably voted on from before he got injured to where they borderline locked in the spot to where they could play like ass the next 2-3 weeks before the All-Star break and it wouldn't matter. But that is a good point. He hasn't had the greatest of series, a couple like multi-hit games here and there, but a lot of offers with multiple strikeout games. So we need Corbin to hopefully get his timing back soon, because he'll be a big key in the second half if we really want to turn things around and go on a run. But going into my
We
first
saw that.
question.
Sorry, real quick. We saw that last year. There's a lot of comparisons to last year. This team had like 4 games over this team currently. At the time, we talked a lot about there's some reinforcements coming. There's a lot of injuries. A lot of the pitching staff is coming back, and even at that time, Gino was barely batting over 200, and Corbin was at 210 or something like that. And after the All-Star break, both of them turned on the Jets, and they both hit like well over 300. And Corbin even won Player of the Month of August, I believe, if not July. So that's what we need from this team right now. We need Corbin to become an MVP candidate like he was early on in the season. Gino's, Gino, but right now I think most of the offense falls down to Corbin, because Cattell is going to get his. Gurriel's gonna get his. There's most of these guys are doing just enough, but the main one who needs to show up and go on 2 for 4, 3 for 4, 3 for 5 is Corbin Carroll. Because if he's taking all these over 4s and just striking out, then he's really not impacting the game at all.
Yeah, you got a good point there. Like the other guys, they will make their mark here and there, but we really need the offense pretty much does run around 2 players in Corbin and Cattell. One of them just carrying the load isn't gonna get us out of this rut, and we need the team to start just playing better
If
as a
Carroll
whole.
goes like 1 for 4 but no strikeouts and does that for a few games in a row, to me, that's showing progress. It's the fact he's striking out a whole lot right now, and that's what worries me.
Yeah, it needs to get on base.
If you if he goes 0 for 3 but has a walk but no strikeouts, then all right, that's progress. I just he's done. I think this past week he had the golden sombrero, which is 4 strikeouts, twice. He had it twice in 3 days. It was. I was like, oh my lord, this. But then we all were happy because one of them was a game against San Diego where he hits a 9th inning home run. So we kind of just forget about it, but we shouldn't. It is a cause for concern in my opinion, and I don't know. I know he's not going anywhere, so that's good. But like we want this season to at least be good for the most part, but we'll see.
I fully agree. I honestly fully agree. Just hopefully it's something that we see him, dial back a little bit in the second half, because that'll be a very nice change of pace, because he has been swinging and missing a lot more this year. I know going into our next topic here, and I guess next question that I had about the series for you gentlemen and everybody else listening at home, whether you're in the YouTube chat or on the podcast. Again, if you're listening on the Spotify or Apple and you want to give us your thoughts as well, either add us on Twitter, go into the Discord, add us in there, because all three of us are in there. We'd like to hear your thoughts as well. But my question is, obviously I know I talked a little bit about it, but now that we're borderline confirmed sellers again, we can have a really solid week coming out of the break, and maybe, like even Gabe mentioned, maybe that's just Hazen trying to, play poker with it, and has a poker face on, he's trying to lie to these guys, whatever it is. But at least with reports that we saw this morning, now that we're confirmed sellers, who do you see being the first name dealt, and how soon do you think it's going to happen? Do you think it's going to be happen like the first week after the All-Star break, in that kind of time span, or do you think it's going to be closer to the final few days before the actual deadline hits?
I'm pretty sure most of it's going to come down to the day before or the day of, just because, again, like this team can switch on a dime. Like we have about 7 games, I believe, before the deadline. If they win all 7, suddenly they're back in it. And who's to say?
Oh, there's way more than 7.
Is there more
There
than
is
7?
one,
It's
two,
like
three.
10.
So we have the 6 at home, and then we have 6 more. So there's
Okay,
12
so 12.
games before the actual deadline.
Okay, so 12 games. Let's say they take 10 out of 12. Suddenly, this team is in contention again. And who's to say teams like Cincinnati, even to some extent the Brewers, Giants, Padres. Who's to say that they don't come out a little sluggish out of the gate after the All-Star break as well? Because a lot of these teams carry momentum, and a lot of the times during the All-Star break they lose a little bit of the momentum because they're just not playing as much or as often. So who's to say these teams don't falter a little bit, and then at that point the D-backs can take charge and then keep it going. So and that's why I do think it's going to be closer to the actual deadline itself. Like I think if they again come out sluggish, 5-6 games under 500 with about 5-6 games to go or a week to go before the deadline, I think that's when it's going to be. I think it's just going to be completely dependent on how this team is looking. If they're way too below and way too out of it, then a week before, and if they're close enough, I do think it's going to be maybe the day of itself. But I do think the first guy that's coming off the board is probably going to be Gino, just because he seems to have the most interest in him. We've heard a lot about the Yankees, the Mariners. Um, a lot of these teams are looking for a right-handed bat and even a third baseman. So he's a perfect candidate for them. Even to some extent, the Mets. There's a lot of teams that are looking for DH types as well. That's something that Gino can be. So even if you have like an all-star third baseman, they might not have a DH. And if after him, it would probably be Naylor, just because he's having again a career year. He's having a great year for a lot of guys. And I can see him going back to one of the central teams just because they're really close, and they also need a DH first baseman type in that league. And after that, I think that's when you start to see some of the pitchers come off the board, like Kelly with Gallen. Um, he's kind of the tricky one just because of how bad he's been. I don't want to trade him if the only prospects we get back, or the only thing we get back, are prospects. Like just a single A dude from the DR who's like 15 years old. Like, no, I don't want that. Like, I want a guy who is close to the major leagues, if not into major leagues. And that goes for all of these guys that this team is going to give up, if they give it up. But they need major league ready talent. They need 1-for-1s, if not 2-for-1s. Like they need guys who are going to make an immediate impact on this team, because we've seen how Hazen handles selling off, and we can't just keep trading, all stars and borderline Hall of Famers for just a bag of chips, and for guys who are out of the league and in a couple of years, like we did with Greinke and Goldie and all these other guys. We can't keep doing that. So Hazen needs to actually trade for major league ready talent, if not guys who are already on a major league roster.
Yes, I agree with the Gino being probably the first name going off the board. I could see him, and then Merrill Kelly, especially starting. All teams are always looking for starting pitchers. So Merrill would probably be a name that teams would at least take a flyer on, especially because he's been pretty consistent this year. I know there's been like 2 or 3 starts where he's gotten roughed up a little bit. I know the Nats has won, the Yankees won obviously from earlier in the season, and then a few starts here and there where he might give up like 3 or 4 runs, but he's been one of the more consistent pitchers. So I could see him maybe being like the second name, and I do also agree. I think it's going to be Hazen's going to play his cards close to his chest. Hopefully, he doesn't wait too long because who knows if his asking price is too high, and then teams just find some other replacement. Then it's like, well, if you're gonna trade Gino anyway, now you're maybe not going to get as better of a return, like you said. Rather get like major league ready guys, or if it is a prospect, a guy that's AAA guy that is available to be up on a major league spot. Just maybe their team doesn't have. Roster space for him. Like a name, I know because you brought up the Yankees. There's a name that's been going around, probably as a joke. I don't think the Yankees actually deal him because I think he's one of their more top prospects. Does have a few swing and miss issues, but what power hitter doesn't? In Spencer Jones, he'd be a very interesting name. Where if we could sell really high in the Geno market and get into a bidding or get some teams into a bidding war, that'd be a fun name to get. Maybe even the Mariners, Lazaro Montez, or Logan Evans, I think, is a name. Like he's a pitcher that's actually had some major league experience on their roster so far this year, so that'd be at least a good name to go after. But I do agree that I think Gino's going to be the first name to go, and hopefully we see them win a couple that are coming out of the break because I think they're opening things at home against the Cardinals. Then the Astros come to town, so Seahawks having a homecoming. Then they go on the road for 6 games before the deadline. 3 against the Pirates, who we already lost series to, and then 3 against the best team in the American League in the Tigers. So it's not the easiest schedule. A couple, first place teams, a wild card team, and then a team in the Pirates who've been playing very well since they fired their manager. So it's no easy task coming out, but it's not it's not impossible. But Brandon, same thing to you. Like I said, now that it seems like we're confirmed sellers, who do you see being the first name dealt out of the D-backs guys that are at least confirmed? Again, maybe there's going to be a surprise name that we deal off. But of those 4 that were basically confirmed to be available, who do you see going first? And then what time after the break do you see it happening? Do you see it happening early on, or do you see it being closer to the actual July 31st trade deadline?
So what was so interesting about that news today is I don't know if it's me like not wanting it, but it doesn't say selling. It just says these guys are available for trades. I don't. Hazen does not want to sell. He's a very competitive guy. I think he's just letting other teams know that he would, like, if they call and ask, these are the 4 guys I will have a discussion on. Like,
Don't bring
don't
up
call
Ketel
about
Marte, Yankee
Marte.
fans.
Drew Jones, don't talk about Lawler because that's not like I think that's more of what this was, and maybe he's doing it to wake these guys up because they basically have 10 days. That's about how much time we have left. I think this homestand after the break with the 3 against the Cardinals, 3 against the Astros. To be honest, they have to win all 6. Like, if we're looking at what our record is, we're 3 games under. If they win all 6, then you're back in, like, but if they go 3-3, 4-2, I think that's truly the nail in the coffin. I don't think any trades are being done until 72 hours before. I truly think that's probably when Mike Hazen will really consider moving on from these guys, because he doesn't want to. But yeah, Gino's been linked to the Yankees, and all Yankees fans say, all right, do it without giving up Spencer Jones and Cam Schlitter. Like, those are the 2 guys that Yankee fans don't want them to trade. I'm like, if you want Gino, it's probably going to cost one of those 2. Basically, Spencer Jones is a left-handing hitting Aaron Judge, which is probably why Yankee fans don't want them. Like, he has a lot of swing and miss in his game, but a lot of tall guys that are hitters do. So, so those are probably the 2 that if they trade with the Yankees that I would want. And then with Seattle, I know he plays catcher, but he'd be a great DH. Harry Ford. I think if you trade with them, you try to get Harry Ford. What's interesting is Logan Evans isn't one of their top prospects, technically. That's because he's been at the major league level for a bit. I truly think Gino's probably the one that you got to trade. Gallon, like Mike Hazen, this is where, to me, you show how good you are at bullshitting. If you can convince another team to give you a, I don't know, fringe double A, triple A guy that can be in the starting rotation next year, you make that move. But if it's like what Gabe said, like a single A, low A guy that's not playing for 3 years, just freaking hold on to him.
Yeah, so we're gonna need pitching, especially the rest of the year. Like how many? It seems like even in the minor leagues, a lot of our guys are hurt. Yilber's regressed tremendously, where he is not even close to the same pitcher that he was last year. So it's not like we have many guys that are ready to fill a spot, even if we do trade Gallon. So it's one of those where I do agree with both you guys. If you can't get at least something decent, then just hold it, and then maybe at least you can get the compensatory pick. I don't know if I said that right. It's been a long day, but at least you can get that comp pick for the next round if you do extend him a qualifying offer and he goes somewhere else. But the Jones, just because you we brought up Spencer Jones, I saw a funny tweet online earlier. It was actually a Yankees fan. One of the few. I know it wasn't a real trade. It was a mock trade and then mostly bullshitting. But it was a funny trade with like, all right, the D-backs get Spencer Jones and Anthony Volpe. Yankees get nothing. We just get rid of Volpe. That's all I want. Just get rid of Volpe. I thought that was funny. And then a dumb joke I always like to bring up. Harry Ford implies the existence of shaved Nissan. There's a stupid one for you guys. But yeah, say it's
Yankee
definitely.
fans have turned on Volpe so fast.
I mean, have you seen
like
him
they were
play?
like, oh,
He's
yes, I
horrific.
have, but still, like, damn, like it's not even a year. Like at this time last year, they were all like, oh, this guy's a Gold Glove winner year after year. He's a solid number 2 in your lineup. Now they want nothing to do with that man.
Well, only number two about him is the one in the bowl that you gotta, as Tori likes to say, flush it and move on. But going on to my final question here about this series, obviously, again, it's not over until it's over. I know even like Scott saying in the comments, he thinks the nail's in the coffin, which is fair. And I think I
Probably.
might not fully agree with the nail in the coffin, but I would say at least where the D-backs team is going into this All-Star break, we have less wins than we did last year and whatnot. I know we were kind of having a discussion about this in the group chat a little bit. So my question for you guys, everybody else at home listening, is this the biggest disappointment for a season since 2018? I know last year was rough, but the fact that I feel like we only missed out on one game, at least the most of the season, like we were in it for most of the year. Obviously, going into game 162, we still had hope of making it to the playoffs and all that. But I think that just in regards of, we finally got another pitcher, or we finally got Corbin Burns. It looked like we were going to have like the best bullpen we've possibly ever had. The offense looked like, well, missing out on Jock Peterson and Christian Walker was at least going to still have some thumps, still put up a lot of runs. But we're just, and again, I know injuries have decimated this team to where it's not exactly what we planned on. But even going back to our preseason predictions, all three of us thought this was going to be a 90-plus team or 90-plus win team at the least. And the way we're tracking is like we barely might even win 82. So that's kind of why I wanted to ask you guys, like, is this indeed the biggest disappointment for a team that we've seen since that 2018 season?
For me, it is. And the reason why, it's because that 2018 team, it was a disappointment coming into the season for me because they missed out on JD Martinez. That was their missing piece. That was a piece that everyone knew how to get, with the guys that we had. We had Paul Goldschmidt still. We had Pollock. We had Greinke, Robbie Ray, Clay Buchholz, weirdly enough. But Patrick Corbin also had a great year that year. But, look up and down that lineup. You still had Cattell, Ahmed, Lamb, Peralta, Pollock. And then even the depth chart, Descalso, John Jay, Dyson, Escobar, even Walker was on that team already as well. But the missing piece was JD Martinez. And instead, they went and got Steven Souza Jr., who played like 10 games for this team at most. Like, just was an absolute disaster. He was a negative player. I mean, he played 70 games, but might as well just play no games with how bad he was when he was on the field. But that injury, a couple games before the opening day, and then just how bad he was, like I said, on the field, he was just absolutely terrible, I guess, for this team. And so my expectations weren't as high as they were this year because this team went out and got Corbin Burns. They made the move to get Josh Naylor. this team has Eugenio Suarez. Like they made actual moves and they spent actual money trying to better this team. The main thing was the bullpen. They didn't spend any money on the bullpen, but still, when you have a team with Corbin Burns on it and Cattell and other Corbin, uh, Jamar, like you have so many guys who have all star potential, if not MVP potential, and for them to just fall on their face so flatly the way they have, and I know people like to blame the injuries, and at this point, I do think it's fine. It mostly is the injuries, just because they just don't have enough bodies. But 10, 15 games into the season before all the really big injuries, this team was still playing below 500. So it's not like they were 10 games over, they weren't 10-5 like the Dodgers, Padres, and Giants were. They were 7-7, 6-7. Like they were below 500. Even at the time, I was stressing out and getting mad because I'm like, this team has to be winning these games, and they just aren't. They're even at the time they were punting games. So for me, it's the most disappointing season that I can fully remember. Because even last year, we knew what the issue was, and this year, the issue is this team has no life in it, and they punted so many games. And the way I count things is, instead of starting, at 90 wins, I start off at 72 wins, and that's the allowance that they get. 72 losses, sorry, 72 losses. They're allowed 72 losses per season. Now you got to divvy up those losses in throughout the next 6 months, and this team has just been giving away those losses like it's Halloween candy. And with all the punting and everything, that's that's what happened. This team could be maybe 7 or 8 games over 500 if they hadn't punted so much early on.
Yeah, so there's definitely, a lot of games early on in the season, whether even just the players playing poorly or just managerial decisions that could be the reason why they're sitting in the position they are now, along with injuries. But I just think in general, the way the roster was looking at, it's the most. I mean, again, we were all hyped in here. We are like, dude, this is going to be second place team, 94, 95 wins. Like, if the Dodgers slip and the D-backs, can like stay consistent, maybe they dethrone the Dodgers as the second team to do it in the last like 15 years almost, because the Giants are the only one. No, not 15. It's like 12 or 13, because the Dodgers have pretty much won the West every single year other than that 2021 season, when I believe the Giants went on their fucking insane like 104 win season with like Brandon Crawford and Belt just turning into their prime selves again. So it was looking like we could potentially be that kind of team, but we're just not seeing it. So that's kind of why I would agree with you, Gabe. I would definitely say, and I mean, I even put out the tweet the other day, like this has got to be the most disappointing season overall. Again, at least halfway point. Compared to expectations and the talent that is on this roster, and then looking at the actual record of like, damn, like this is not a 47 win team going into the All-Star break. Like this team should at least been like 55 around the pack with the rest of the teams. Like the Tigers, Dodgers, Phillies, all them have like 57 plus wins. We're even 54. Like I figured we'd be in minimum in the 50s and at 500 at the very worst, but it's just not looking too good. So that's why I would say it definitely is a disappointment. But Brandon, passing it on to you. I know in the group chat you were on the maybe the I don't know if the other side of the coin, or again disagreeing could have like a negative connotations, but you were saying that it's not necessarily a disappointment, or at least you wouldn't call it that as of yet. So I'm curious to get your thoughts on this question, on if maybe things have changed in the last few hours, or where your explanation is to why you don't think that maybe this is the most disappointing since the 2018 campaign.
So I get why you and Gabe say this year, because the expectations were very high this year, as they should have been. Like this roster, top to bottom at the beginning of the year, was definitely probably one of the best that Mike Hazen has put together. Like we were like, oh wow, this bullpen could be like the best we've ever seen in like D-backs history. Like everyone was excited, and then no, like it, like I know right now, like this team probably finishes with like 78 and 84, which I personally like with the expectations. Yeah, you could say that's a disappointment season, but for me, when you lose 100 games, that's a disappointment to me. That is a bigger disappointment, in my opinion, than going 78 and 84. Like, I know we had World Series aspirations, because on paper, this roster, there's no reason why they shouldn't be winning 90 plus games. But for me personally, 2021, having a 32% winning percentage at 52 and 110, is a bigger disappointment for me personally than this team maybe being around 500 2018. Like I could see us being the same in that same spot, 82 and 80, because I just think this team's gonna play hard no matter who's here August 1st. I think they're gonna try day in and day out. They may try and be spoilers for maybe the Padres and Giants, maybe the Reds. Like I don't know, but for me personally, like that freaking 21 season, like I get like that roster wasn't good, so we really didn't have those expectations like we did this year. But I'm sorry, like when you lose that many games, like it to me it's more disappointing than being a. I mean, this team literally is the definition of mid. Like, just go look at all the records, home, away. Like it's around 500 for everything. You can, I don't know, call me a homer, a diehard. I'm not willing to throw in the towel just yet. Um, just because I've seen what this offense can do. Um, so for me, it's like let's see where they are after the Pirates. Like, again, like Mike Hazen said, it's not records, it's not games behind, it's how they're playing. If they're playing well going to that Tigers series, he may have like a really high price for dealing Gino and Kelly.
Yes, I mean, I can definitely see where you're coming from with the, why maybe 2021 was a bigger disappointment because again, like maybe I guess the way I would put it is like maybe not as disappointment, but just embarrassing. Like that was an embarrassing season in general. Like I think that was our worst season statistically in franchise history for like wins and losses, maybe second worst. I think we might have had a worse one in like '04. Trying to remember, I know because there's a lot of comparisons on like the all time D-backs loss record. So I definitely could see the where you're coming from on the 2021 being more. Uh, at least from your aspect of disappointing because again that was just an embarrassing team that was that season it's because again no matter what the D-backs record is like like again I got the fucking team tattooed on my forearm so I'm never just gonna like abandon ship. I'm always gonna be here, like always be a fan. I'll always watch this team whether they're a 40 win team, whether they're a 95 to 100 win team. I'll still always be here, but at least in that season like I would turn on a game and I'm like, okay, like we're probably gonna lose. Let's see what's gonna happen. They're down by 6 in the first 2 innings. Okay, you know what? That's about my expectations. Yasmani Tomas
I'm
hit a home
still
run.
gonna base my schedule around their games
Oh,
the rest of the year.
100%.
I don't care if they fall out. If the game's on, I'm not gonna schedule stuff. It
Exactly. And
doesn't matter
even
if we get worse somehow. Like we just like everything just plummets after the All Star break. Like it gets worse. I'm still gonna
yeah, like I'm still
be
gonna go to
right here
games.
at my desk and watch the game.
Yeah, like I'm still gonna go to games too, like with my mom, and like even like I know we've been trying to get like a meetup going. So if anything, that might make more tickets available and cheaper. So who knows? Maybe that'll just be easier for us trying to get a little dispatch watch along going on. But like no matter what the record is, like I'll still be a fan of this team. I'll still support the team. I'll still watch the team. Going to the ballpark. Even I went to the ballpark even in the 2021 season when they weren't that good. Like just
Yeah,
especially after the.
I went to that last game when Josh Van Meter hit a damn home run, and I'm like,
Oh,
"You bastard!" But
dude, I was
okay,
so
all
I was
right,
so
whatever.
pissed.
I was pumped. I was pumped, but then I'm like, I'm like, "Yay!" I'm like, "Oh wait, like we just missed out on the first pick." But what Brandon's saying that like to a certain extent I agree, but I also disagree just because disappointment adds the connotation of having excitement over it. And that 2021 season, I was mostly just excited to get baseball back because the way 2020 was with COVID. 2021, started to allow some fans in, but only certain areas, a certain, it was just kind of a mess. But I was just happy to have baseball on schedule again and have a season that I can actually look forward to. Like the D-backs were terrible, but I was still watching the game just because I was happy to have
Their record at the
baseball
All Star
again.
break that year
It was
was
23 and
26
like
and
50.
60.
Yeah. Yeah.
26 and 66 that year. Oh my god.
But the issue with something like that in terms of being disappointment, like at least there was a way up. You saw that okay, this team's gonna be bad this year, they're gonna get better next year, then better and better. With how bad they are now, I mean, where does this team go from here? Are they just gonna get worse? Because you're comparing year to year. They won 84 games 23. They won 89 last year, didn't make the playoffs. And at this year, could be below 500 when the season ends. And then at what point, what do you get? You get a 15th, 16th round draft pick, or round 16th pick in the
Well, it's
draft,
not
17th
set
pick in the
now
draft.
because of the lottery, so there's a chance, like, if they are worse, they have a better chance, but, we've seen, like, the White Sox were the worst team in baseball last year, and they still wound up with, like, the 12th pick. So that's one of the
Yeah,
good things about the lottery, but not for us because it's like, well, damn, the one year that we suck again, it doesn't fucking
yeah.
matter because we can get the 15th pick.
Yeah, so I mean, even this team, I know there's a lottery system, but you have a slightly better chance to get a high draft pick. So again, you can see a little bit of the light outside the tunnel. But in this case, same with the Suns. They're just like they weren't bad enough to where they got a number one pick. They didn't get Cooper Flag in the draft, although I know this isn't basketball talk, but that guy they got from Kentucky,
Is it
Brea,
Kentucky or Duke? Oh, Brea from Kentucky. That's
Brea, he looks like Devin Booker. So I'm starting to get excited for this Sun season.
Literally.
Call me a delusional fanboy, but damn, I'm starting to get really excited for the season again. But with this team, yeah, it's just like I said, that disappointment. Like in order to be disappointed, you have to have expectations. If I put a steak in the microwave for you, and if I cook you a wagyu beef, freaking steak, and I take both of them out and the wagyu sucks, you're gonna be disappointed in that, and you're gonna be, like, whatever. It was a microwave steak. Like you know what to expect from a microwave steak, and you're expecting something better from a wagyu steaks. But that's my point of view on things, and like I get maybe want to be positive about it, and I do want to be positive about this team. I do every day. I'm just like, okay, today's when the winning streak starts. Today is the day. Today's the day, and so far it just hasn't happened yet, and it's just
I've done that every series. I'm like,
every
this is
day.
the series where we go win 8 of 9. It never fucking happens.
Yes, I
Yeah.
like your analogy there, Gabe. I'm gonna have to use that when describing the season because that's honestly like just
I'm
in
like,
the
steak in a microwave.
that's the perfect way to do it. Yeah, like a Walmart steak that you put in the microwave. Yeah, you're like, okay, it's a Walmart steak. It's whatever. It's a steak. But yeah, if you're like, oh, I got a Japanese Wagyu steak. It's gonna be delicious, and you like overcook it and you make it well done, and you like don't even season it, and then I'm like, well, now I'm sad. I would have just preferred you tell me you're gonna microwave me a Walmart steak because my expectations were gonna be low from the start. Like, I think that's just because you brought the Suns, the D-backs. Obviously, I'm not a Cardinals fan. I mean, I still, as long as they're not playing my Packers, which I'll definitely try to be at that game in October this year. But even the Cardinals, it seems like just every Arizona sports team in general, when there's expectations, just they just can never live up to it. Where when they don't have expectations, like 2023, we were just like excited to have Chaos Ball. It was just a fun team to watch. Where they finally made it back to the playoffs. Cool, there we go. That was already enough for a lot of us. They won the wild card. Sweet, heck yeah, something to build upon. And like it just kept getting better. And then now that we've had a taste of that, now we have those expectations. It's like every disappointment is just a little bit worse because it's like, hey, like we know what this team can do, we know what this roster can do, and they're just not doing it. Where even like Gabe, you were saying with that 2021 season, it's like, hey, just excited to have baseball back, but there wasn't Josh Van Meter being a big part of one of the main pieces on that team. It's like, yeah, there was like I think that was Pavin Smith the year where he had like 500 at bats and he was one of our best players, which that should really go to show just that sentence alone. Yikes! How down bad were we in 2021? But at least the nice thing again, even if we're struggling right now because we've been talking about prospects and all that with like trades and all that, the D-backs did at least have a few more prospects added to their system tonight. Was not because of a trade, was not because of any DFAs and picking up anybody. It was actually because one of the worst marketed drafts in all of sports, the MLB Draft, did happen tonight. The D-backs did make a couple surprising selections. I know even in December we were joking how the D-backs love themselves a 5'10" speedy left-handed outfielder in high school, and looked like they might do that. Slater DeBron, a name that was mocked to us, was falling, or I guess not falling, but didn't go off the board yet. The D-backs came in at pick number 18, and their first pick of the draft this year was actually a guy that our man Nugget, who does have his own Twitter, D-backs prospects, and a lot of people were just high on. They took Kason Cunningham. He's a left-handed hitter shortstop from a high school in Texas. He's 19 years old and short king lefty. He is 5'10". He was the 14th overall draft prospect per MLB.com. He actually won the 2025 High School Gatorade Player of the Year award for Nugget in our Discord. He's saying that he has the best hit tool in the class. He's an elite defender, and then more of a second base type player. So obviously drafted off as a shortstop, which I was making some dumb jokes where like, wow, the amount of shortstops, and you guys know the abbreviation for the position of shortstop, SS. The amount of shortstops taken in the first round today. What is this? The MLB Draft or 1940s Germany? Because good fucking
Dude,
god, it
it
just
was
seems like they're
crazy
going.
how many, and then it was high school shortstops.
Yeah, it
Like
was
the amount
shortstop
of
after
high school.
shortstop after shortstop. But on the 20 to 80, grading system for prospects, or if you guys didn't know, like 20 in the lowest end, if you get a 20, it's pretty much like, yeah, you're not going to be good at that. 80 is this player is elite. 50 is average. So he was graded a 60 hit tool. 45 power, so not a big power guy. I think 10, 15 home run guy. 60 run tool, 55 arm, 50 fielding, and a 55 overall. So it's a really solid player. Like I'm honestly just looking at a lot of his highlights and whatnot. I'm really excited to see what he can do, see how fast he'll rise. Hopefully he can hit the ground running and kind of fast track a little bit like what we saw with Slade Caldwell, where he's just kind of been tearing the ball up at every level of the minor leagues. So hopefully we can see a little bit of that from Kayson. So that's a pretty solid number one overall pick. It was nice to see a non outfielder go in the first round. I know I think a year or two ago, we did take Tommy Troy, so it's not like it's the first time it's ever happened. But it was nice not to see one of the small lefty outfielders from high school get drafted. Then the D-backs actually dipped into the college market a little bit there for their second pick number 29, which is actually, I believe, the second pick in the comp round. They took Patrick Forbes, who's a right-handed pitcher from Louisville. Sorry, Brandon Fott, my bad. He is 21 years old. He is 6'3". He is the number 31 draft prospect per MLB.com. The grades on his pitches: he has a 60 grade fastball, 55 grade slider, 45 changeup. Changeup's a work in progress. Same with his control. His control was a 45 grade, and then he came out overall at a 50 grade. His fastball was sitting around 94 to 96 this year in college, touching 100 occasionally, which was very nice to see. Love to see a little bit of flame throwing because the D-backs don't have enough of that in their system, and the ones they do are all hurt. Does have a power slider sitting at 81, 85. Again, just in the highlights. Again, sometimes the tricky thing with highlights is always going to be the good things where, if you actually watch a full game tape, maybe they're not always on point, like we even see with Zach Gallen. Like you could make a fan cam of just Zach Gallen's like 5 or 6 good starts this year, and you could trick a team, send it to the Blue Jays, and be like, "This is the guy you're getting." He's an ace. But even still, he has a really nice solid slider, and from what I was reading on the MLB prospect page, saying sometimes it can turn into an upper 80s cutter, which is pretty hot. I love a pitcher that can throw a cutter. But like I said, does need to work on his change of control a little bit, but still an exciting arm. And then their last pick of at least tonight, there was 3 rounds tonight, and their last pick was pick number 92, and they went back into the college market, and they got Brian Curley, which I believe we have a clip loaded up of this guy. Was
No,
going around.
I wasn't able. I wasn't able to get the one for.
Okay, that's
Curly.
fine. But we'll retweet it on Twitter. There was a clip going around where, especially looking back on it, I do remember seeing it when college baseball season started. He was closing out a game against I'm trying to remember what team. It was an unranked school. Georgia was ranked number 8 at the time. He looks at the second baseman or the runner on second, and he's like, just sticks his tongue out, turns back to the catcher, and just throws a fucking like nasty slider or nasty whatever breaking pitch was, strike the batter out in the game, and then he does the "Are you not entertained?" kind of look. So the dude is a certified psychopath. I love it. But he is a 22-year-old, another short king, 5'10". Pitcher again this time from Georgia. He was number 102 draft prospect per MLB.com. His grade, he has a 65 fastball, that's you don't see that too often, so that was pretty. That really caught my eye immediately. 50 grade curveball, 60 slider, 55 cutter. Just like Forbes, his control is 45, but his overall is a little bit lower at 45 as well. His fastball is very similar to Forbes. It sits 94 and 97, but touches 100. Seems to be a little bit more deceptive than Forbes, though. From a lot of the clips I saw, it kind of seems to catch hitters off guard, so maybe it's a combination of his curveball and slider that make that fastball as elite. His hard slider does sit in the high 80s. Needs to work on his curve and cutter just a little bit. Even as Nugget was saying on their Twitter and in the Discord, he can profile as an elite power reliever, which the D-backs do need some more relievers and whatnot, so maybe that's the route they're going to go with. And then, per the Diamondbacks prospects tweet, the video he put out there, he is also also a complete psychopath, which the D-backs just need a little bit more of that. They need a little bit more fire, guys that have a little bit of a screw loose, because that's one thing that's lost a little bit on some relievers nowadays, where they're not as psychotic. They're not, insane coming out of the pen, and I like a little bit of crazy when it comes to my pitchers, But I know again it's going to be probably a few years before we see any of these guys. Maybe the college guys will see fast tracked a little bit more, but especially Kazan we'll probably not see at least for 2 3 years. But just looking at their first three picks, looking at some of the highlights, some of the scouting grades, the comps, and all that. Out of these three, my question to you gentlemen, everybody in the chat as well, who intrigued you the most, and who are you most excited to watch once they finally get to start playing some professional baseball games, and who you're going to kind of keep your eye on to end this season and then going into next season uh, for these guys that we're going to be prospect watching?
For me, it's Forbes just because of his age. He is 22 years old, and being of, I believe he went all 4 years to college as well. He seems to be the one that's a little bit more refined than the rest. I can see him being up even up next year. Same with Paul Skeens. Obviously, Paul Skeens is kind of the exception out the rule, but the Angels had a couple guys who got drafted last year who already came up to the major leagues. Like they're doing pretty well, but I think for me, that's kind of the issue with drafting high schoolers is just they have so much that they have to refine on themselves. Like it's like an unpolished rock. You just have to keep polishing them. That's why Drew Jones isn't up. I mean, Drew Jones is only 21 years old. Like
He's playing
he's
really
not
hot
even.
lately, though.
He's been getting really high. He's finally seemingly healthy. Jordan Lawler is still very young. I know people call him and Drew a bust, but they're both still younger than Corbin was when he made his debut. So that's how young these guys are in comparison. And at the time, I remember thinking like, "Wow, Corbin's going up really fast, and he's super, super young." So these guys are still younger than Corbin was at the time when he came up against the Phillies. So just keep that in mind for everybody who's calling these guys bust. It just takes a while, and but when it comes to the college players, usually they come up a lot quicker. Uh, so with Forbes, he kind of reminds you a little bit of Brandon Pfaadt, but just better. Like he has a higher fastball. I mean, a mile per hour fastball than Brandon Pfaadt ever did because I believe he can even touch to 100. Some of those clips you showed, he was touching 97. Brandon Pfaadt really is a 94, 95 guy, and that's going to be consistent. He's not going to really be able to throw more than that. So for me, it's Forbes. And then, like I said, I do think, depending on how things go this year, depending on what happens with Gallen and with Kelly, who knows? I mean, if he goes into the low A ball and he balls out, I can see him being fast tracked up to the major leagues too, where he is a guy who maybe doesn't make it out of camp in spring training, but he can be up in April or May because as of right now, we truly don't have that many starting pitchers. We have Brandon Pfaadt and Ryan Nelson. I believe that's it for next season because Corbin Burns is out, Zach Gallen might be gone, Merrill Kelly might be gone. So as of right now, we have two starting pitchers on contract for next year. So, we could be seeing Forbes, really make his name next season.
Yeah, and just as we're talking about these guys, Nugget in our Discord is saying that there's a quote from Curly. I'm gonna pull it up here. Yeah, quote from Brian Curley. It was saying, "quote I'm not particularly fond of hitters, so just cause
I love it.
the kind of mindset that he has and whatnot, I'm excited to see him, especially because again, it's nice to see them get some college guys because I feel like a lot of times they do. Like I think Walchman, obviously, they got him out of college, and we see him. They're a little bit more seasoned. They've had a few more years. Again, I know college is very different from even professional ball and minor leagues and whatnot, but I feel like it's at least a little bit of a closer step than like sometimes high school is, because again we'll see sometimes we're like, oh yeah, this guy was like the greatest player in their high school's history, and they can barely even make it past like the high A level. So it's definitely a big jump from high school to professional ball, but college might be a little bit closer. So I'm excited to see the two college arms, because again, like you even said, Gabe, maybe they could be at least invest in spring training, and maybe if they don't necessarily break the camp with the team, maybe they'll fast track their way to Double A, potentially up to Reno, and then who knows? Maybe we see them late 2026, or even maybe out of the 2027 opening day they make the roster, which would be very exciting because it is nice to see just in general them kind of go after a little bit more harder throwing arms and whatnot. Just hopefully that fingers crossed, knock on every bit of wood, that we don't see any kind of regression happen like we saw with Yilber this year. We could see them actually build on some stuff and work out a few of the kinks and whatever they need to work on. But Brandon, same thing to you. Are you gonna kind of agree with Gabe on the same name? Or is there one of the other guys that we drafted? Because for me, Kazan, I feel like, especially being a high schooler, I know we got Domo, but he does look pretty intriguing. Got a lot of speed, got a lot of hit. But I'm curious who you kind of have your eye on, who you're going to try to focus on a little bit more next year and pay attention to their progress as the seasons go along.
As soon as I saw that clip from Brian Curley, I'm like, I want that guy in the back end of my bullpen. That's the type of players you want. It's just the guys that aren't all the way that like has a one or two screw loose there. And just the fact like that freaking quote is I don't like hitters. I'm like, see, that's what we want. Like we want that guy in the seventh and eighth that's just gonna strike guys out. Personally, that's what I want from a high leverage guy. I don't want the pitch to contact sinker baller. No, I want the guy that's gonna just throw it by. Like that's why I love Jamar because yeah, his command may be a little frustrating at times, but missing with a 102 is hard to hit. But if you miss with like a 92, it's gonna get destroyed. That's what and that's what happened with Paul Seabold. But his was lower. His was missing at like 88, 89. So Brian Curley is someone that I'm definitely going to keep my eye on. And I've noticed a lot of Major League Baseball now, you see a lot of these college pitchers, they're up either later that season or the next season, like within a year.
Or for the Angels, you just put them up that exact same season, like a month later.
Yeah, because I mean they have so many problems, so that's
White Sox also did it with Crochet too.
Charles is right. Brad Zingler stands but again, at that time in baseball, that was fine. That's not what you. These hitters are so good nowadays. You need pitchers that can like average 98 to 99. Like you need those guys in that back end because these hitters are really, really good. And just the fact that Nugget basically said he's a complete psychopath, I'm like, I mean, that, yes, please. Like, have that be the guy that comes out in the eighth and not Ryan Thompson. Thank you. So, I think, but again, Cunningham, high schooler, shortstop. Like, is he going to end up being a shortstop by the time he comes up here? Probably not. There's a reason why all these high school shortstops were taken in the draft. They are the most athletic athletes on the field. It's easier to transition them to a different position, whether that's third base, second base, outfield, probably even put them at pitcher too, like depending on how good their arm is. But the fact that Cunningham is like fast, which kind of makes sense for the Dbacks there. So he's probably 28, 29 at least.
I can see that.
He's 19 years old. Like, there's no reason to rush him up. So, yeah. I think people use the term bust too loosely because they're trying to compare all these guys that have come up and done well, and they think they all should. But I'm like, no. Stop trying to compare these guys to Juan Soto, Mike Trout, Paul Skeens. They are the exception.
Yes, I know, because not like necessarily like an argument, but even on Twitter, somebody was under like an Alex Weiner, because he had the last 5 D-backs top picks, Lawler, Jones, Troy, Caldwell, Cunningham, and someone was under there, bust, good, and then meh, and I'm like, I was even bringing it up where I'm like, okay, again, I'm not saying that this guy is going to be on my Trout levels, but people, whether they're just too young, I remember. Again, this is gonna make me feel old. I remember being at my grandma's condo years ago, hanging out with her, eating some pizza, watching, and wings, watching movies. But in between one of the movies, put on some SportsCenter. Back when SportsCenter was fucking elite, immaculate, and they're talking all about this top prospect, one of baseball's top prospects, Mike Trout, coming up, making his debut. Mike Trout in his first season, he had 123 at bats in 2011. He hit 220, a 221 on base, and a 381 slug. He had a 6.
He got sent down, by the way.
Yeah, he got sent down for the rest of the season, and then he came back up, and then again, he's the Mike Trout that we know and love, first ballot Hall of Famer, probably the best player of the 2010s. And again, I'm not saying that Lawler's going to be a Mike Trout. Like, that is not at all what I'm saying. Like, but it is at least something to keep in mind. Like, Lawler's only had 50 at bats on the major league level. It's been very inconsistent too. He hasn't had a full run, where, again, that's almost a third of what Mike Trout had, and he was getting consistent playing time. Where it's a little bit too early to call guys bust, especially if they haven't even gotten up to the major league level yet. But I'm just excited to see them kind of get, obviously the the young talent. A lot of high schoolers are taken nowadays, and like I totally get it because if you can get these guys, especially entice them in the first round, like hey, instead of going to whatever college you're committed to, come on over here. We got a nice couple M's to throw your way. Just sign in here early, get your career started early, and get the development train underway. But I'm just excited to see both the pitchers. Kazan will be fun to see if they move him to second because I believe Tommy Troy is also being potentially moved to an outfielder spot. And then even on the topic of guys not playing in the same position, I know shortstop's a little bit different because as Brandon said, they're the most athletic guys in the field. But two names that was coming to mind that were drafted and they've never even played a full game in the major leagues at the position. Kyle Schwarber was drafted as a catcher and Bryce Harper was drafted as a catcher. Neither of those guys are catchers, which, hey, for MLB The Show purposes is great because, it's nice to have, like, a catcher secondary. But neither of those guys ever played a game at catcher, and they were moved to other spots. So sometimes you just draft. It's not like football and other sports where you draft for your positional needs. You draft the best player that's available, and at least, it seemed like what they did that for these ones because I think they hit the kind of both checks on the pitchers where they need pitchers, but they also got the best pitchers available, which is very nice to see. And like I said earlier, it's nice to see them kind of dip into the college market. But going on to our next topic here of the show, again, usually this is part of the time where we go and look at our next series, do a series preview, the matchups that we have, predictions, but we're not going to be having a series to talk about until Friday because of the break. But I'm really excited for Friday's to be decided versus to be decided. That's going to be a pitcher's duel going on. I'm just kidding. We're going to do our series next preview on what's actually coming up this week, as tomorrow is the Home Run Derby, which again, MLB, fuck you for not getting Gino in there. He literally said he wanted to. And then also the All-Star game. So in regards to at least the Derby for this topic, I want to ask you this one I'm stealing from MLB The Show because they had this in there for one of their packs. Who hits the furthest ball in the Home Run Derby? Who hits the most in one round? And then who wins the entire thing? For me, I think the person that's going to hit the furthest ball is O'Neal Cruz. Like he already has the hardest and one of the hardest hit balls. So I could see him going up there, swinging, trying to go over the chop house. I have him as hitting the furthest. For me, the hitting the most in one round, I think Cal Raleigh's going to go beast mode, kind of like what we saw with Adley Rutschman in Seattle a few years back. Maybe we see him go on both sides of the plate too. It'd be nice to see Cal hit maybe 14, 15 plus in one round. But for me, person I see winning the entire thing, I'm going crazy. Fuck, I'm spacing on who I picked. I think I ended up picking. Let me double check. The Home Run Derby participants. I think I end up going with James Wood. I think James Wood is going to win the whole thing.
You literally took my three, man.
Well then, I guess we'll set it to Gabe if you want to change yours. But that's who I have. O'Neal Cruz taking the furthest, Raleigh with the most, and then James Wood winning it all. But I'm curious who you have for each one of those categories, Gabe.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of stole mine, but I'll change it because
I'm not changing mine.
I'll do a Matt Olson for the furthest one just because of his swing and his swing path. I feel like he's going to play really well. I believe it's in
Also his
Atlanta.
home
this year.
ballpark. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, it's in Atlanta this year, so he's used to the batter's eye in a way a lot of these guys aren't. So I do think he's going to do pretty well. He's probably going to get into the later rounds as well, but I think for the most part, he is going to hit the furthest one just because that's who he is, like as a as a batter. And for the what were the categories? It was
most in
furthest,
one round and then winner.
most in one round. Okay, so most in one round. I'll do James Wood, just because I just think the power is there that he's going to be able to knock a whole bunch. But I actually got a weird one, which is to actually win it all is Junior Caminero. I know he has the lowest odds, but he just has such a quick swing compared to everybody else. So I know a lot of people focus on the power and the strength and everything, but that's not what matters. Usually what you need to do is get a whole bunch of home runs in the least amount of time. So Junior, out of all of them have like these long, lengthy swing paths, and Junior just has a quick little flick of the wrist that he does. So I do think it's going to be Junior who's going to win it all. And I mean, he might not get the most every single time out. I mean, like overall in each round, but obviously the most because he has to move on. But I can see him get like 20 plus every round and then, eventually win it all.
Yeah, Caminero's a good pick too. He was I feel like one of the sleeper picks, especially going just off of the odds. And just kind of going back really quick to the draft there was a guy that was drafted whose last name is Gamble. I need him to be traded to the Dodgers so then I can just see Betts, Otani, and Gamble in the same lineup just because it's the jokes write themselves. That'd be hilarious. But yeah, say just based off of the betting odds, I think Caminero was one of the lower ones. I think he was down there with Jazz Chisholm. Great pick, by the way, guys. Great. I'm glad that Jazz Chisholm. I hope he has a Chris Young type home run derby round and he hits like two.
I want an offer. I want an offer out of Jazz so bad.
God, that'd be fun. Which sucks because like I don't hate Jazz. Like he's a cool guy. Like but just it's a shame that the guy that has 30 plus bombs, who said he wanted to be a part of it. Like there's guys like Goldie for years literally never wanted to be a part of it because he didn't want to mess with his swing. Aaron Judge, he's kind of like, man, I'm surprised Pete Alonso's not in it this year, especially being an All Star. That was a big thing last year. He was like, I'm not going to be in the home run derby unless I'm an All Star. So I'm surprised they didn't ask him. But still pissed off Gino's not going to be in it. But those are some pretty solid picks, Gabe, especially the Caminero one. I feel like that's going to be a sleeper where we can be looking back on this one tomorrow night and we're like, Gabe, certified ball knower once again, proving he knows ball. But Brandon, passing it to you, I'm assuming you're going to pick Jazz Chisholm for all three. I'm just kidding. I know you said that I kind of pulled the rug out from under you and stole your three, but I'm curious to see maybe if there's like a last switch up or maybe a different justification on maybe the three that you're going to pick.
No, but what Gabe brought up is it's actually a smart. You don't want to hit the high launch angle because they don't throw another ball until the next one hits. So if you can hit like line drives, you're gonna get more swings. So you're gonna have more opportunities to hit more. And kind of what Gabe said there with Junior Caminero, like his swing is really good for it. It's a very he can hit a lot of those line drives. They get out quick. So yeah, Matt Olson is only in this because Ronald Acuna dropped out because of injury. He's still playing in the game. He's just not going to play in the home run derby. So they obviously had to pick someone that was local. But I'm like, Gino's already there. Like, it's not like he's not an all. Like, that's what pisses me off is like they didn't even ask him. So whoever's in charge, whether that's Major League Baseball or one of the current participants, didn't ask Gino.
When we had the home run derby here in Arizona, did we even have an Arizona representative in the derby? No, like that to me. That's the bullshit thing where I'm like, fuck who like the home team. They don't need a representative. They already have a representative for the team. Get who's gonna actually hit the most bombs, dude. What the fuck?
And if I remember right, last time it was here, Robinson Cano was in charge. Or no, wait, no, it was Robinson Cano or Prince Fielder was in charge of picking the guys, and they didn't ask Jay up, and like that's why they got booed every time they came back here for years because they didn't ask Justin Upton to do it. So, but no, I'm excited to see how hard O'Neal Cruz is going to destroy baseball.
Those poor kids shagging fly balls.
They should not have kids in the outfield with this. Or like they got to tell him you need to pay attention because he's going to hit one, and if you're not looking, it could, I don't know, kill you, but it's going to leave a
over under 3.5 for kids getting just domed by 120-mile-an-hour line drive.
They need to put them in those carts that they do, like at a Top Golf or whatever, when like those little carts that just drive around with their protection on it. Cause yeah, he's gonna murder someone.
Yeah, dude. I think he has the hardest hit ball in Statcast there at like 122 miles an hour. So going in there when he's
the highest 3.
Yeah, like him. Like I think it's him and Stanton up there. At least if he doesn't have all 3, I think it's him and Stanton, which. Yeah, that'll be the thing that I'm especially looking out for, especially on Twitter, seeing like it always is just the funniest thing having the kids out there shagging fly balls, and then the camera tries to immediately cut away. I'm like, I still saw that kid just take a liner off the doma, man. Like maybe have them play at the warning track for every single one of those and let the ball one hop to him. But yeah, either way, it's gonna be fun. And as long as Jazz Chisholm just finishes last, I'm okay with it. I know that's some hater shit, but I don't know. We're not going to probably see Gino in a Dbacks uniform for too long, so it would have been nice to see him at least get a send-off in the Derby. But going on into the other festivities going on this week, the actual big one, the Midsummer Classic, the All-Star Game. So the 3 questions I have for you guys on this one is, 1, who actually wins the game, AL or NL? I know AL over the last 10, 15 years kind of dominates the All-Star game. I know last year they won. Jarren Duran won the MVP. So I'm curious, who do you think wins this one? American League or National League? The second one is predict the D-backs All-Star performance. I know Catel's starting, so he'll get at least 2 at-bats. Gino and Corbin will probably sub in, so they'll hopefully get at least 1 at-bat. So what are your predictions for their performance? And then in general, who is going to be the All-Star Game MVP?
I think the NL is going to win because the AL sucks this year. I don't. They have so many. I mean, the Tigers are good, but they're good as a collective group. I think they just kind of all do. They play the right way. But when you mix in as many like random Yankees and stuff, I don't know. I don't think that team is all that great this year compared to the NL. I think the NL is a little bit more stacked, and even the bench players are a lot better. I guess the D-backs performance, Cattell 1 for 2 with the home run and strikeout, Corbin strikeout, and Gino homer off of, I don't know, like maybe the third or fourth reliever they bring in. And what was the one other thing you said?
MVP of the All-Star Game.
MVP, PCA.
I'm surprised, especially with Cattell and Gino both hitting home runs. I figured one because usually it's somebody that has like a clutch home run. Like Jarren Duran last year had that go-ahead home run. I think in the All-Star Game in Seattle, was it Elias Diaz,
Yes.
the Rockies catcher, had that pinch hit home run, so he ended up winning the MVP. So who knows if Gino comes up clutch, whether it's a go-ahead shot, whether it's the nail in the coffin home run. It'd be interesting to see who. Hey, I don't think we've had a D-backs player ever win the All-Star Game MVP. I know we had Gonzo win the Derby, but I think that's the most All-Star accolades we've ever had a D-backs player get. So, hey, even Cattell, I'd be okay with that. I'm okay. Like, maybe not home runs. I could see Cattell at least 1 for 2 with a double. Corbin strikeout probably gonna happen, and then Gino maybe a strikeout, but who knows? Maybe even gets like a nice single. Just as long as one of them gets a hit. I don't want to see any offers for all three of our All-Stars. But Brandon, passing it on to you as well. Who do you see winning it? Are you kind of in the same agreement as Gabe, which I am too, especially on MLB The Show. I pick the NL because Otani, Freeman, Cattell, like I just feel like the NL's roster is a little bit better built, even as Gabe said the bench is a little bit deeper. Do you agree with us, or do you think the AL is going to win it? Who or what do you think the D-backs stat line is going to be? And then who do you think is going to end up being the All-Star Game MVP when everything's all said and done?
This is I'm looking at the roster. Like this is like a tough like the starting lineup wise, it's the National League I think is better. But like the AL has really good bullpen guys, and we didn't really talk about it. But the fact that a guy that had 5 games started is an all-star, like we could that could be a whole tangent in itself.
As long as Kershaw doesn't pitch, the NL should be fine.
But he is. Dave Roberts says that he is pitching, and that's what worries me is that Dave Roberts is gonna manage this game like he manages in the postseason, which is very good. I'm glad that we're getting Skeens and Scooble to start it out because they are the 2 best pitchers in Major League Baseball. So yeah, I think Cattell goes 2 for 3 with a single and a double. I think Corbin gets a strikeout, but I think he's gonna pinch run for someone and he's gonna get a stolen base. Gino's gonna hit a home run late, and because of that, NL's gonna win. Gino gets MVP because it's gonna, like you said, probably one of the last times we're gonna see Gino. If he doesn't get traded, I think it's more of Hazen's not getting a good deal because don't trade these guys just to trade them. Like Gabe said, don't want to see these guys traded for a bag of chips. Like I don't want that. Like fans are like, oh, sell, but then you get a bunch of like low A guys that aren't helping this team for 3 years. The whole point of selling right now is to really retool for next season.
Fully agree. I mean, I'd be okay with both of your guys' predictions. Like, I know it seems like both of you guys are on board with the Gino homer, and that would just be hilarious too. Not invited to the home run derby, so he says, "All right, I'll just have one in the All-Star game. Fuck you guys." Would definitely be nice to see that one, but especially Cattell. I feel like Cattell's had a hit in both of his last 2 All-Star starts. I know in 2019 in Cleveland, he had that I think that double off the wall, and I think last year he had a single. I don't think he did anything super crazy. I believe he went 1 for 2 if I'm not mistaken. I could be. My memory's a little bit hazy. But it would be nice to see Cattell at least go off, even if I do like the prediction of Corbin getting a stolen base there, like pinch running. And then even going into, like Gabe, I know you said about PCA. He's definitely going to be a sleeper pick. I think he's been hot this year. Already has 25 bombs. I think he's on pace for like 40 bombs, like 60 stolen bases. Crazy that he's almost going to be in the 47. Again, on pace is very different than actually doing it. But he's a fun player to watch, man. I can't believe the Cubs fleeced the Mets for 2 months of Javier Baez for fucking Pete Crow Armstrong, which apparently was taking the pick right after Bryce Jarvis. So that's
Yeah.
fun to look back on.
Yeah, I think for me, the reason why I said PCA was because one, the hype. I mean, just he's a Cub, he's good, and he's. I don't think he's might. I don't think he's probably gonna hit a homer. Maybe he is just because of the right field porch is weirdly short, like in a weird way. You kind of just have to hit a line drive there to hit it out. So I could see him getting a homer, but he's probably gonna get a base hit and steal a bag as well, and then make some great catch in center field. So I think that's what it's gonna be. Is just the fact that he's gonna be kind of on camera a lot just because there's probably going to be a lot of line drive outs that he has to go and get just because of the guys that they're facing as well. So if he's still like a Aaron Judge line drive, I think he's already being put at the top. And same with his offensive production, I think he's going to do just enough offensively and defensively that it's going to end up going to him, even if Gino hits a game tying homer.
I'm also curious to see who they mic up because usually they'll have a couple different guys. I think one of my favorite ones was, I believe, from that 2019 one is they had Freddie Freeman mic'd up facing Justin Verlander, if my memory serves correctly. It is, if there's ever time to mic up guys, at least in an exhibition game like the All-Star game, is fun.
I want to bring that up actually.
Yeah, go ahead.
ABS is going to be in this game, by the way.
Ooh, yeah, good point.
So
Thank God.
If we get some that are so bad, it's like I feel like that's why the umpires union doesn't want to use it because it's just going to make them look even more stupid than they
Yeah, I think for me, if it's gonna be Otani and Judge, they get balls called at their shit, and so they're both. I don't think Aaron Judge is gonna lead off. He's probably gonna hit number 2, but if Otani, I want to see him do it so bad. Just like the first pitch that's down at the shins that they call for strike, boom, call it, bro. And he's probably gonna be right. I mean, these are the best of the best, so these guys are the ones who know the strike zone the best. So it's. I'm curious. There has to be a over under of how many they're gonna
Challenges.
ask for. Yeah, how many challenges they're gonna get, and how many are they gonna be right.
Yeah, especially like I think I wouldn't be surprised if umpires are told like, hey, don't throw anybody out. So it'd be fucking hilarious if even out of challenges, like hitters just out of habit are like, yeah, fucking challenge that shit, dog. But I'm definitely gonna the first time there's a challenge, I'm gonna send the clip to my brother and I'm calling it now. My brother, he's like 31, like 30, yeah, like just turned 30. Not just turned, but he's 30 going on 31 this year. He's the biggest like boomer take with some of his or boomer baseball fan with some of his takes as a 30-year-old, to where anytime with something like that, he's like, what's the point of having even umpires in the field then? And it's like, I guarantee you, I'm gonna send a clip.
I question the same damn thing every game.
I'm gonna screenshot the response and put it on Twitter and send it in our Discord. So another reason, hey, join the Discord. So the second that happens, I'm sending it to my brother, and if I'm calling it now, if he responds with, what's the point of having umpires? Just take them all off the field and just have robots out there and all that shit. I'm calling it.
Okay.
Now, but yeah,
I'm completely fine with that.
I'm okay
because
with it.
This is getting out of control.
But yeah, so it's gonna be fun. The festivities, the home run derby is always fun to watch. It's gonna be a little bit, even as a kid, I know he hasn't done it in a while, but it's still always weird to watch a home run derby and not hear the back gone from Boomer every time. So, but it'll be fun. I know they usually have like a stat cast and like a regular, kind of like how the NFL has like on their Monday night broadcast, more of like the analytical side broadcast and then the regular broadcast. I think they do the same thing for the home run derby, so that'll be fun to watch. Because I'm getting a little bit more into the nerdier side with the numbers and all that. Plus, it's nice to see. I like big numbers. I like big numbers. I like to see 115 exit velo and 440. So it'd be nice to see that every single time. But it'll be a blast. This week will be fun, and then hopefully this is the refresh the D-backs need going after the All-Star break, and they can kind of hit the ground running and avoid being sellers. But the nice thing is you guys will get to join us three here, I believe, Thursday night before everything kind of kicks off. Obviously, the festivities will be settled, so we'll be here to talk about that, see whose predictions were the closest, maybe who got things right, who was way off. And then also kind of do a little bit of a second half preview, maybe some award winners, division winners, where we think the D-backs kind of finish off at and whatnot. But again, that's going to be Thursday night. We'll be here. Hope to see you guys all there. Again, if you haven't already joined the Discord, join the Discord. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. Leave a review on whether you're listening on Apple or Spotify. Either way, just leave a rating. We really appreciate that. And also go over to azsnakepit.com. Check out all the articles in there, especially if you guys are looking for some more draft content and whatnot. They do have a great like thread in there and breakdown of their 3 picks of today. And the draft's going on for the next few days, so there will be more names and whatnot that we'll kind of get to sink our teeth in to get a little bit more familiarized. Maybe we'll get some late round steals, kind of like what we saw with Brandon Pfaadt being taken in the last round. So it's been a fun episode. I appreciate each and every one of you guys for tuning on in here for another episode. This is actually a little bit. The last 2 episodes have been a little bit more fun than I think a lot of us were probably expecting coming into it. And that's because of you guys, and it's been just fun to talk about a little more positive things. So you guys have a great rest of your Sunday and enjoy the All-Star festivities, and we'll be here on Thursday to talk some more D-backs ball with you guys. Until then, take it easy.
Under the lights, the game goes down. Desert heat, but we own this town. Brett and Gabe on the call, with Josh in the back, bringing it